Hey Dougie, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Long time no see.
Yeah, it must have been about 3 or 4 months, but yeah, obviously the first podcast went on very, very well. I'd say I think it's been the most watched apart from the introduction, which obviously a lot of people go back and watch the first one, which makes sense. But apart from
I,
that, yours was the most
I,
watched.
I haven't actually watched myself back.
Have you not watched
I've
it back?
seen snippets of it. No, the family's all watched it. I don't know. I just don't think the green accent comes across very well on online or TV. You know what I mean? So, but the missus watched it. She thought it was good. She watched it with her son, and they thought it was good. Their daughters and my family, my sons, my brothers and that watched it, and a lot of people I work with have watched it, and they says it was spot on. I mean, people messaged me, says everything you said was basically true. So at least people, what you're trying to say, at least it's hitting home with a lot of people. You know what I mean, Christian? So at least we're possibly getting the right message out there. I mean, since you contacted me yesterday, I've had a few replies to post, not really direct questions in that, but mere people putting points over, without really arguing. But at the end of the day, we've got a national agreement here. I think we're here to talk about NAECI. We've got a national agreement, which is something very rare in this country. Uh, we've got conditions, union set rates, and agreement with the employing companies. Now, when I was a youngster going back, you couldn't get on these jobs if you weren't in the union. You would be encouraged sometimes on your induction. The shop stewards, the, the resident shop stewards would come in, and before you asked anybody, there was a you either showed your union card or there was a union form put down. Now, to me, I think it's only right that everybody pays someone back. If you agree to work on one of these jobs, whether you like the money or whether you don't like the money, there's a lot of people who gave their working life to these jobs, and these people should be respected. Uh, they stand up to a plate when they don't have shop stewards and that. I mean, people are going to negotiate your wages. We know it isn't enough. We'll probably come to that in a wee while, but to me, if everybody was singing off the same hymn sheet, it puts everybody in a stronger position. It also makes things easier for the companies to negotiate when you get into any disputes in that. It means that people can sit down at the table, have a grown up conversation, see both sides of the argument, and it stops all the old Machiavellian days of right lads, let's hit the fucking gate, which rightly or wrongly doesn't seem to happen very often these days, Christian. And that's probably because of the national agreement. You know what I mean? And I think it should be protected, in my view, because it is quite unique. Uh, we know the money isn't enough. It's sort of stagnated over the last 15, 20 years, mate. But at the end of the day, it needs to be protected because it's also a guideline other employers use uh, when trying to negotiate wages or trying to put a package together on other jobs or similar types of work. The night agreement gives you a benchmark then where rates of pay stem from. Uh, uh,
Yeah, go on, mate. Somebody's just joined, so they probably just haven't
no, that's all right.
introduced.
Well, as I was saying that, I mean, the 90 is a benchmark. We're seeing a lot of things now where a lot of companies are paying like a couple of pounds over the 90 rate, or they're rolling every one of the 90 aligned where they cherry pick bits out the agreement. But I'm not really for that in a lot of ways. I would rather everybody was the same. I mean, like yourself, I'm not on a 90 job at the minute, but I could be. I have been offered 390 jobs in the last 6, 7 weeks, but I'd accepted this job first, and they sort of all came at one time, you know.
As they
So
always do, yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to accept a job and then phone them back the next day before I'd even started. I mean, I've had better deals. I mean, financially, I would probably be better off on a 90 job because I knew what I was working into. I was going to work with companies I had previously worked for who treated us all good, who are some companies are really trying now within 90. I think I said on my last podcast, there's good companies and there's bad companies. But the good companies need to be protected as much as the men need to be protected. I mean, I was offered above the rate, which is near the 90. I was offered £25 a day food allowance, which is £175 a week, which is not in the night agreement to help towards it. All the workers at least can have a evening meal, a decent evening meal every night, Christian, you know, without digging into their pocket. So, good companies are seeing difficulties that they're also seeing the accommodation being a major problem, especially the cost of accommodation, where basically people are just trying to screw the ordinary working man for as much as they can get out of him. I mean, these people know round about the local areas where these stations are, any of these plants are. Some of them know the Blue Book agreement better than the workers, you know what I mean? So, it's trying times, but as we're saying, I mean, I believe he offers 8.5%. My opinion on it is I don't think 25% is unachievable. In 2010, myself and another shop steward called Rob McGarry were mandated off a Blue Book job to go and ask for £20 an hour. And that was in 2010. The way current play stands at the minute, 13 years later, we're on £19.11 plus bonus, but not every Blue Book job gets a bonus, Christian, as you know. I think they've also introduced £1 an hour like living allowance sort of thing, which is dropping down to 75p. So if that goes all together, you're not really getting 8.5%. I think somebody says it works out as just over 5%. But I mean, in the cost of living crisis that people saying, well, I wouldn't say it was a crisis. It's just probably greed by the government allowing companies to inflate prices for energy, for gas, for petrol at the station, especially food, retail prices. Everything's going up, but the wages are just not going up. And I think NAECI has suffered more than most in the last 15, 20 years. The wages have stagnated and the rises have been always just falling shy of inflation. And I think it's got to a stage now where guys are saying enough's enough. And guys are just refusing point blank to hit their tools and a kit bag in the back of your car and travel 300 miles down heading south for a 2 or 3 week shutdown, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the other thing I was looking at was the radius. So I think they offered 8.5% radius, but then that said subject to HMRC approval, so that wasn't
Yeah.
even guaranteed.
No, see, because it'll be the same as a dig allowance. That's why NAECI was unique, because they had an agreement with the HMRC that dig money would be tax free.
Yeah.
So, so it's, I don't know another industry that does that. I mean, a lot of companies now are paying dig money. They'll advertise they're paying £45 a day dig money, but they're only willing to pay at £45 or £50, whatever it is, on the days you go to work, which happened to me last year. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you're paying digs for 7 days a week, mate, you're only working, say, 5 or 6 days. You can't turn around to the landlady or the hotel owner or wherever you're staying. Well, I can only pay you 6 days this week. I bet you were here 7. I bet my company only pay me for days I go to work. You know what I mean? So, and in a lot of cases as well, you're paying tax on the dig money, you know, outside the night, which is, it's just, it's not acceptable, you know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously the thing is, it's not easy to find somewhere for £40 a day now. Well, it's almost impossible, I'd say.
Yeah. I think a lot of the good companies are seeing that, uh, and a lot of them are now taking the dig money off the table, and they're finding guys accommodation. Now, it's a decent company will put everybody in the same hotel, so they're not marginalising people. They'll put the managers, the foremen, and the workforce in the same hotel. It's not a case of, well, we'll put the boys in a one-star hotel on the beach, and we'll put the gaffers in the Marriott or something like that. You know what I mean? So that has been done fairly. Uh, and if you're getting an extra, I work with men, and the boys get £25 a day food as a step in the right direction. Uh, I mean, the companies are probably making record profits, but what you've got to see as well, see, to me, night is always played through nobody's fault. Sort of plays a transient worker against the guys that are constantly on the same place of work. You know, like the local guys that manage to get a full time position, maybe on a maintenance contract. So through no fault of their own, these guys don't need to travel. They see the same faces year in, year out, but they'll work 12 months a year, be constantly employed on the same plant. But to me, it isn't the same as a guy who's travelling 300 or 400 miles for a 4 or 5 week shutdown, and then having to basically live out a bag, try and find somewhere to wash his clothes, gets a long weekend every month. It, to me, they're different environments, but I can understand the union's view on that. They don't want to split the workforce or characterise the workforce, which is understandable, but a guy who works away from home is not the same a guy who's on a nightly contract, who's on a care and maintenance contract, even though the terms and conditions are the same. It's just not. It's not the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just suppose the other way to look at it is obviously the guys who are on the maintenance contracts are probably just working standard hours mostly through the year.
Yeah,
And then obviously the shutdowns where they make their money. So whereas the guys are jumping from job to job making lots of money, those guys are probably working 35, 40-hour weeks for the rest of the year and then maybe
yeah,
getting 2 or 3 shutdowns a year. So you
yeah.
have to protect both sides as well, I'd say.
You've got to. I mean, should we split them up? That's above my pay scale. Should we? But I think most of the guys that always seem aggrieved when these pay deals come about are the guys who jump about. These shutdowns are getting shorter and shorter. It's getting to stage now, myself included. I had about 5 weeks ago, I was to go to a shutdown in Cheshire. It was only 2 weeks, Christian. So by the time you laid out your dig money for 2 weeks, I'd have been finished on the job because my son was getting married on the Saturday anyway. I'd have been finished on the job before I'd even get paid, which meant I would have need to laid out for travel, probably 10, 12, 14 days accommodation, and then your food on tap. I mean, you're talking well over £1,000. So all you're doing is working to claw back what you'd have been laying out in the first place. And if guys have been off for any period of time, then they might not be in a position. They might find themselves going to friends or family and desperate for a job to get themselves back into the groove. They're just going to work to pay back what they borrowed to start these positions. So the guys need continuity of work, especially in the summer months when most of these shutdowns take place, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I saw there was a few people who did comment on the LinkedIn post. Is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about?
Well, as I said before, excuse me, I was just putting my coffee down. I don't think 8.5% even touches the sides. I think more realistic, I think we need to be talking a minimum of 25%. 25% of £19.11 isn't a lot of money. You're talking about £4.28 or something like that, which isn't a lot. Now, I think it's time the old retractable bonus was put on the rate. That would increase your overtime payments right away because you don't get overtime payments on your bonus. It's just paid at a flat rate. So I would be looking, and anything that can be taken away from my working man through maybe no fault of his own, seriously needs to be looked at. It's like to me, a bonus has become a stick where employers wave at you to beat you down and they threaten. How many times have you heard, oh, what sweeties are doing, you'll lose your bonus? See, bottom line is nobody really cares about that bonus because once you add it onto your wages, it isn't really that much money anyway. So I think it's time the old faithful bonus was put back onto the rate, and then that would greatly enhance the rates and it would give guys a bigger lift on the weekend overtime. Now, if you look at it generally, I mean, the biggest job in this country at the moment is Hinkley Point. Now, Hinkley Point technically isn't a blue book, but it's run by 90 shop stewards. It's based on everything about it. Basically, is blue book except the rates. So, with the enhanced rates in Hinkley Point, the employers in the got a strong bargaining agreement here because they've got these people that are on a lot more money than what have been paid on your normal shutdown or your normal new build under NAECI. They're on 9 or 10 quid an hour more for weekend overtime with a 1.8. And good luck, boys. I mean, the shop stewards down there have done a fantastic job. I mean, they were left with nothing more than the framework. And they've put something together that clearly works. They've also done a sterling job in getting guys into a union where I think they've recruited thousands and thousands of men, especially among the civils. So Yeah, I think what's the pint at Hinckley is basically achievable right across the board on all Blue Book sites. And it shouldn't matter if it's a new build or it's a maintenance contract or it's just a mere shutdown. £25 an hour is certainly achievable, especially in this day and age. I mean, and you could also back up. A lot of companies are using agencies now, but we're never allowed on the Blue Book job. Now, I've worked for agencies myself early on in the year on Blue Book job, and I've got to be brutally frank, they treated us a lot better. I never had to fork out for accommodation. They put me up in a Premier Inn or a travel lodge for a whole 3 week duration of the job. They paid my fare. If I'd needed transport to get from the train station or wherever to the hotel, they would have paid it. There is money there. If you're paying agencies money, you can pay that money to men and cut out agents. So, there's definitely got to be money there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think obviously the way things are at the moment, kind of agencies are on every single job, so it's kind of, we kind of have to live with them. And I've had good experiences and bad experiences. I've had some of both. I've worked for
Yeah,
when I've been looking for work, I've worked for agencies and, they've been great with me. And then I've also worked with other agencies who will phone you and promise you the world and offer you this and offer you that.
yeah, and then take a cut
And
out
yeah,
the way.
exactly. And obviously I don't know for most, but I remember one when I went for a job interview and the guy said to me that for every hour I worked, the agency was charging him £5 an hour. And I think my rate was like 25 or I think it was 23. And then the agency was charging £5 an hour on that,
Yeah.
which is
See,
incredible when you think, that amount of money is almost insane.
yeah, so why not just cut out the middleman and just pay it straight to the guy who's doing the work, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the questions asked, uh, a lot of guys were saying the first question I noticed last night, the day when I got out my kit, somebody was saying uh, we should national agreement jobs, and I can't disagree with this. I just can't. Was should you be allowed onto a NAECI job if you as a non-union member? Now, by the letter of the law, you can't stop people getting a job. So it doesn't. A lot of guys go way back when they threw the card in the bin and said, "Oh, I up in this job and that job." Everybody's had experienced of full-time officials and feeling let down by them. It happens all the time. So, but at the end of the day, a national agreement to be protected, if you get everybody in the union to get onto a blue book job, it makes things easier, as we said earlier, makes things simpler for the guys who are trying to organise a job. It makes it easier for the union because like, times like this when they're maybe coming to a ballot on a pay resolution, they know where everybody is because a lot of guys never update their status. So if we tried and returned to it as best we could, which is not an easy task. I mean, even getting guys' details, because I've done it myself for a strike ballot. Some guys just won't come near you. They've been in the union all their life. A lot of guys don't return the vote. I think it would also help if we had adopted the French system, where, but it's not allowed. But I don't see it being a problem in challenging it in law. Is a place of work should be the place that you cast your vote. It shouldn't be sent through post. What's the point of sending somebody a ballot paper when he's home 1 week end the month? You know what I mean? And he's sitting there and he's maybe get 40 or 50 letters and a pilot his wife saved for him with his name on, and he never looks at half of them really, does he? You know what I mean? So I think one way of strengthening the case would be that if you come, if you are in any sort of dispute and you're balloting and you come to a decision that the only way forward is industrial action, industrial action happens in the workplace. For me, you should be voting in the workplace, and then everybody gets a fair chance. Then you know if people weren't voting as well. I'm not saying people should be singled out for not voting. It's their choice. I mean, you don't need to vote in a general election, but if you don't even need to register your address to get a ballot paper. So again, that's a personal choice. But for me, to help the unions and help the shop stewards, I do believe that you should be in the union like the old days. When the first person you seen, when you sometimes you didn't even get in the gate, the shop steward was waiting there, and the first thing you wanted to see was a clear card. And maybe if your card wasn't clear, he would say, "Right, I'll give you 2 weeks. You got to pay and clear your card," and that's what you done. You know what I mean? But times has changed now. We don't seem to have a lot of union branches anywhere where you would go to the local pub and there'd be an old guy with a cloth hat and a big leather couple of ledgers, and he'd want to know where you've been, and you would meet people that you haven't seen for a year and all that. So we're sort of lost that way. We've lost that congeniality. We've lost that camaraderie between workers, which you don't often see. Because everybody's moving in different directions these days. So I'm in for that as well. So I would definitely be in for everybody getting back into the union of their choice, and maybe starting a fresh slate here. Now, one of the other questions as well, I noticed was from Big James Seaman, who's actually working on Hinkley Point. From Merseyside, and Big James was wanting ratification on this, the rail fare. Christian, a lot of companies are paying this as like the cheapest rail fare they can. My interpretation of this was always it was a standard return rail fare. Now, whatever they're paying, if they're not paying enough and you're having to pay out with that, is keep a receipt, go into them and give them a copy of the receipt, and then let them know what they're paying you isn't enough. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, it's not always going to be viable to get the cheapest return, because the cheapest
no,
return is probably going to be super late at night, or
yeah,
it's not going to be the first
yeah,
train. It
no,
probably is.
no. You can't expect a guy to be
No,
hanging about a railway station for 4 hours
yeah,
because he could get a £60 ticket instead of a £95 ticket. Just pay the money. The guy wants to get home. He's on a limited time vacation. Know what I mean? So just pay the money, man. This is probably some uh, money clerk in the office looking at ways where they can claw back as much as they can after men. I think it's a trivial point, but it's easy addressed that you just pay whatever it is. They know how much the rail fares are. I mean, anybody can go online in their smartphone, get into national rail inquiries, and it tells you the price of all the fares. You just pick your destination and where you're travelling through, and it comes up. So it should be the first available train, whatever that costs, instead of looking about for the cheapest rail fare possible. You know what I mean? So
yeah. We have a message from Alex saying the rate rise is a shambles.
again, this is going back. I totally agree with Alec. By the way, I think I've stated my case. I've been stating my case. There was a recruiter mostly for Nike away a couple of months ago or something. He reckoned it would be about 5%. And I basically said to him, well, for me, 5% is fucking pish. I said, I think you need to stick 20 in front of that. Again, it isn't even £5 an hour. Uh, we've seen other unions fight. 8% is not enough, especially if you're a transit worker, you're in and out of work. You're just getting back on your feet, then your shutdown comes to the end. Then you're back to square one. You might have a week off, or you might be lucky enough to get kept on and get a transfer. But one good thing about this is I'm seeing that companies now, a couple of the big players are looking to keep guys on the books for as long as they can. But again, they want to keep them employed. They're moving them about, or they're giving them the option to move from site to site. But again, that could come back and haunt them in a lot of ways if you look, because they would need to pay you. Say if you had a job that was finishing now, but you weren't starting for 2 weeks' time, then that company needs to pay you some sort of standby or some sort of flat rate, or maybe 38 hours for sitting in the house at your allotted rate of pay of 19.11 pence an hour, Christian. So then that takes its toll on them. So, I mean, a lot of these companies who they have core workers in that care and maintenance, who might not be care and maintenance companies, who maybe need to have a steady workforce, say 80, 100 men. So these companies need to make their money in the summer where they can retain these people through winter and still keep their heads above water, and it wouldn't be worth their while doing it. And I've actually spoke to a couple of contract managers, just general talk within the work over this, and I was asking them how do you survive? How do you retain people over the winter? And he basically explained it, which a lot of companies would shy away from. But because all they want to do is make profit. I mean, we'll never know how much they charge the BPs, the NEOSs, and all this. I mean, there's figures going about the chat for a simple welder or a simple plater or a pipe fitter or a rigger that they might be charging 60, 70, 80, 100 quid an hour. Now, if you're paying, I don't know if they're getting that sort of money. I don't. I'm not in a position to know that. I mean, I've heard stories, but you hit on it earlier. If you're charging a company 60 or 70 pound an hour for a guy, and you're paying them £19.11 an hour, it's not a bad markup, is it? Even with your employer's national insurance, your pension contributions, it's still not bad, is it? If you've got 100 men on that job and you're making 40 or 50 pound an hour, half 100 men, I mean, we're talking fucking superstar wages here, aren't we?
Yeah, that's a lot of money. But I do think companies are changing slightly. I was speaking to someone, a welder, and he was saying that he went with a company and he was great. He passed all of the TIG codings, and he couldn't use the stick. And they actually took him up to the school where they had, and they trained him up for a few weeks, as you said, put him on a basic rate retainer, and paid his digs. I think he spent 4 or 5 weeks. That wouldn't have happened 5 or 10 years ago.
No, I think it's good. I think if you've got good guys, uh, I mean, I've seen a lot of things about expanding your management skills, but it rarely comes down on a shop flair. Where Rod the guys, of course, I mean, stick used to be bread and butter for nearly every welder. You know what I mean? So it's slightly went out of fashion now, especially in a lot of marine industry, MOD work and that, where a lot of companies don't really use stick now, where in certain jobs it would probably be more beneficial than trying to get in with a MIG gun with a big fucking shroud on the end of it. You know what I mean? Where it would be easier for maybe routing and hot passing with a stick and then filling it with a MIG. Would maybe be better, but I think I'm all for it, expanding the guys' skills, keeping them, try and retain the good guys, get them on board. I mean, why should people not be rewarded for loyalty or for good workmanship or stuff like that? You know what I mean? Or even a guy who never has a day off, who's never late, who turns up, he's available for the overtime, he does the hours. He's just a normal guy who wants to go and work and send his money home to his family. I think that's a good thing, definitely. I don't think many people listening would disagree with that, you know what I mean? But as long as it's done fairly like everything else, which unfortunately, as we know, is not always the fucking case, is it?
No, definitely not. I just suppose, companies are probably struggling to man jobs and to find enough skilled labor. So they have to do something to try and keep people who are keen and people who, as you said, want to go in, don't miss a day's work, graft for a living.
See, what we have at the minute as well is a lot of companies are struggling for men. There is a lot of work. I think there's a lot of work in Teesside. Uh, Tony Seaman's probably in a better position to answer that than me, but there seems to be a lot going on in Teesside at the minute, and Tony's always been one for advocating. Sorry for name dropping there, Tony. Tony's been a great one for advocating, getting the NAECI onto the jobs in Teesside where the old Redcast Steelworks and all that was, where all the redevelopment are, where they're talking about building structures for the offshore wind industry and stuff like that. So I get them done within NAECI. Everybody's the same. It's like anything else, mate. See, if you pay your rates, people will go. I mean, people are queuing up to go to NAECI. People have been waiting a long time. Maybe thought they were going to be here 2 or 3 years ago, but with a hold up in the civil situation, which is beyond control, because I think at one point they were really struggling for steel fixers for the concrete. So they've actually suffered skill shortage as well, and they were paying, as I said, nearly 24, 25 quid an hour. People just weren't willing to travel to that part of the country because they could get similar money on their doorstep. Where we were always above the civil industry in real money pay terms, but in quite a lot of cases now, they're earning 5, 10 quid an hour more than us in a lot of cases, especially for the bricklayers, plasterers, and probably steel fixers. You know what I mean? Concrete guys and that are their wages are outstripping ours. We sort of have stayed stagnant, and everybody else has caught us up and probably bypassed us in a lot of cases, as you're seeing with some of your jobs. Well, again, the agencies are paying more than what you can get on a national agreement.
Yeah, hi Tony, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah,
Yeah,
just to reiterate a bit what Dougie said there, mate, right, is obviously I'm on a job back at home on Teesside now, right? I've been on it 16 months now. It's one of the longest jobs I've had, right? Because I'm a blacklisted worker as well, mate, right? Through being a shop steward and that, like, and voicing my opinions. But this job was supposed to finish last Christmas, right? Now it said it'll finish September. Now it said it'll finish next July. There's supposed to be 800 men on the job at the moment, right? There's 350 men tops at the moment. The industry is struggling to recruit people because we're an aging workforce, and just every company Now, the NAECI negotiations, right, they're going on at the moment, right? They've offered a probably 8.5% and 3.5% for next year, for the year after, where our members from GMB and Unite have said, no, we've got a mandate there for 14% for 1 year, right? We got kicked in the teeth with our last pay rise, right, of 2.5% for both years, right, which the employers had said that they'd come round the table if the inflation went above 5%, which that never happened. But this time the lads have had enough. We've put like consultative ballots out now. They're coming back all refusing. It's going to go where if the employers don't listen, and I've told like I say to Dougie, I've told the employers, right, where you're going to get if you don't. The NAECI at the moment, right, it's £19.11 for a craftsman, right, and you get your 237 bonus if you haven't been a bad boy. But Hinkley Point, the civil side, they're on about £22, £23 an hour. There's guys left our job, pipe fitters and that, to go work self-employed, right, on another job on Teesside MGT, which still hasn't been finished. It's been going for about 5 or 6 years. And that was supposed to be finished in 2020. But it's just, employers have got to wake up. The ECIA, the employers' union, should be telling them, listen, if you don't put your ideas up, where are you going to get the people from to finish these jobs for you? Do you know what I mean? It's just, they've got to wake up and realise. And like, I've just answered a few questions on LinkedIn there, lads have put about digs, right? In NAECI, under negotiations, the digs are not negotiable, right? The digs are set by the HMRC, right? Which I've only found out myself this last year or so, right? They're set by the HMRC, which NAECI's got to go to them. And there's the odd company that will pay them tax-free. But what some lads don't understand is, if they get them tax-free, they're accountable to the taxman themselves, right? Because under the agreement, they're not tax-free. Where we have had it for years, but there's been like a loophole. But it's just a struggle at the moment to get men on any job. We've even said to the employers, listen, once Hinkley Point opens up for mechanical, the lads will go there. That'll just get flooded, right? Because they're on more money than what we are. So where you's going to get this? There's no young'uns. I've even said to the unions, right, you need to get back in the schools now to talk to young'uns, right, about doing apprenticeships and that when you're coming out of school, because all they know now is just phones, like mobiles, laptops, all computers. There's nothing. There's no manual work that's coming through. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's just terrible what's happened. But them employers, at them negotiations, the employers were banging on the table saying, this is a good offer. And we were disappointed that you never put a 2-year deal together. And we said, well, look, we're mandated to what the members want. They want a 1-year deal of 14% and no less. Do you know what I mean? And then if inflation goes up again, they want that. And just,
well, we don't know where we're going to be in 2 years. Anything could change in 12 months, so it makes sense.
Right. That's right, Christian. But these people who were sat around the table with us, we are just bread and butter lads, right? They're all like CEOs that have different companies, right? So they're all mega bucks. They don't give a toss about anybody, mate. As long as they get their work done and they're getting like a 100 grand pay rise at the end of the year and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and then they've even in the negotiations, Doug, I don't know whether you heard, right? They said, right, we'll put a payment together for shutdowns and that, right? For finishing bonuses and all this, right? Just because what happened at Stanlow the other year, right? When the lads sat in and said, look, we want this now. So we've said, fuck that. If you can afford to pay a finishing bonus, right, you can put on the fucking rate at the start of the fucking year.
Definitely, Tony, aye.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's just a shame. I mean, and like, obviously, LinkedIn, you put things on there, Doug, I put things on. But some lads, they don't understand how trade unions run, right? And they don't understand some of the rules on jobs and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's just... Yeah. And I'm thinking, shall I answer them? And I'm thinking, well, I'll have to answer them to educate them and tell them it just... Because they do slag the unions off for a lot of things, right? Well, we know, both of us know, we've had bad officers, right, that wouldn't do a tap. We've had good officers who you can trust and they're doing it. But the more good officers then that done the job for you, they got wrong off their like regional secretaries or the higher bosses and that. Do you know what I mean? Saying what you're doing backing them. You know what I mean? Where they've got to realise I'm at a conference here in Brighton at the moment, Doug, right? And now we had like a rules conference yesterday, and we have the policy conference all this week. And I've said Keir Starmer's coming here Thursday, right? And they were like, "Oh," I said, "Let the members ask him the questions, right? Get him here and put him on the back foot." I said, because he's not once said what he's going to do for the working class if he gets in. Do you know what I mean? I said, so let our members fucking fire the questions at him. Do you know what I mean? It's just, they're going about the Labour government and all this. And it was said today, mate, the Labour government is not like the old Labour government, what the trade unions formed, mate.
No. I think, I mean, the treatment of Jeremy Corbyn, without getting into detail, was nothing short of fucking... it was tragic. It was probably a nice-hearted, quiet gentleman who was subjected to terrorist threats. Threats have been murdered. Threats and lies made up about anti-Semitism, which have been following for the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, it was utter fucking shite because he wanted to try and create a bit of socialism again. Tony, I don't know. I'd like to ask you a question. Tony, as you see, I haven't been using social media a lot for the last couple of months. Now, a lot of people don't know we're actually going under in the UK at the minute one of the biggest shipbuilding programmes we've seen in fucking decades. I mean, BAE Systems are building submarines in Barra. They're building the new Type 26s in Govan, in Scotstoun. Halland and Wolff have won a contract for 3 RFA boats for the Royal Navy, and the new destroyers are getting built at fucking Rosyth and Fife. Now, a lot of these work is being subcontracted out, Tony. And we're in a position here. All right, some of the work is more classified than others. An employment agency here can pay you well above a 90 rate, just to take a point. Now, BAE Systems, when I was there, Tony, a couple of years back during lockdown, mate, I was on 30 quid an hour earn. I worked 4 nights a week night shift. All right, that included your travel money and your few nights lodging that. But Tony, you were getting a travel lodge for £24 a night in the centre of Glasgow, and you didn't really need to worry what you were fucking spending your money on, because fuck all to spend your money on. Now, since then, these boys has had a couple of rises now, and the rates are in the 30 odd pound an hour. Now, even if you say knock £8 off that for dig money, Tony, these rates are still well
above the NAECI, mate.
I'd be £5, £6, £7 an hour, mate. You know what I mean? So, it's good for us at the minute. There's lots of work about, but it doesn't mean to say there's going to be lots of work about this time next year, because we're not really prior to see what jobs is coming online anymore, Tony. Whereas when I was when I was more involved with a union, I used to get a list every year of forthcoming 90 jobs in the last 12, in the future 12 or 18 months. But I don't get that information anymore, because I'm not a 90 shop steward anymore, Tony, and I haven't been for the last 2 years. But I mean, it's fucking good to hear you, and it's absolute brilliant that you've come on, because you've always been one, Tony, same as myself. Fucking, we've got to shoot from the hip. No, we can't keep on toeing the union line and doing things the union way, because we need to be more radical. I'm not saying radical, but a bit more broader thing. And I've always tried to do things my way. I haven't always got it right, Tony, and I've made a few mistakes along the line. Like, you probably have yourself saying, well, maybe I should have done this and maybe I should have done that. But life's too short for regrets. You fucking educate yourself by it, mate, and you move on. And you try not make that fucking same mistake again. But did you know, have you ever came across in your time, Tony? I found, you know my story, I found myself being alienated by my union about 10 or 12 years ago. And I'll be honest, Tony, them wounds are fucking hard to heal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I've had 19 employment tribunals, Doug, right? And I've never lost one, mate, right? But I'd say, right, I've always got to pay out. I've never been in a court, but I'd say the union has only took about 3 or 4 for me, mate, and I've done all the others to Waycast myself, all because the loopholes where they say the probability. I said, no, man. And there was one in Scotland, mate, right? And then the officer got fucked for it, right? Because he said to me, you only have a 63% chance of winning. I said, well, surely that makes the company only have a 37% chance. 37% chance. Do you know what I mean? So I had to put a complaint against him. But I sit on the NAECI Shop Stewards Forum again now, Doug, right? We were there in June. And all them stewards, mate, right? From Scotland down to Southampton now, mate. We've got a massive forum now, right? And as soon as they heard that pay rise, went, right, so we've done indicative ballots to all the sites now. They're all coming back, reject, mate. So then it'll go down the legal route, because what they tried, when we asked them to come back on the table over the 2.5% pay rise, right, was, oh, no, we're not coming. So the lads took unofficial action, right? And they were like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have done that. And then, because we'd done it over a cost of living thing, we couldn't do an official ballot over the cost of living then, right? But now, all this is going to go official, mate. And mark my words, all them lads, like, if the ECIA does not tell the employers to up their offer, mate, right, all the lads on these NAECI sites, mate, will be out the gate. Will be out the gate for this next year's pay rise. And I've said to them, right, and I've said, listen, to all the stewards, I said, right, you've got to tell the lads, right, we've got to see how strong they are, right? Do you know what I mean?
You've got to test the water, Tony.
It's the lads. I said, it's no good you slagging officers off saying them and that. I said, listen, the officer can't tell you to strike, right?
No,
right? You do the ballot. It's a legal ballot, right? If you ballot the strike, right, you've got to show your strength then, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I said, and then if you have got no strength, you never get a fucking pay rise again.
That's right. I'll be honest, Tony, that we seem to create a monster. There's a lot of youngins now.
Oh.
In the industry, Tony, who don't know what a union card fucking looks like. I totally agree with you on the re-educating that. I think we need to get back to the days where stewards appear at fucking induction courses.
Yeah, well, that's what I do on my job. On my job there, Doug, right? I'm at all the inductions, right? And why I've been off sick, mate, my pals done all that, right? So our job with 350 men, right, we're 100% unionised, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's never been known for a fucking while now, mate, right?
No.
But I've said to them, listen, you have a grouse meeting, what they call the PJC talkback meetings now, mate, right? Once a month.
Yeah.
I said, so you finish an hour early. I said, that pays for your union. That pays for your union, right? I said, but if any of you is like, so what I'll do a roll call thing, mate, right? I get my portal up, I'll check, and I'll just say like, use all this or use all that, get it paid, was you don't come in this meeting, right? And you stay on the park on the Friday. And to be honest, mate, the lads have been good as gold, and they've been spot on, and they've got to realise, and like you say about the younguns, mate, it's some of them, like you say. Well, before I could get on the site again, Doug, one lad was saying to me, well, we wouldn't learn out off you because you can't get on the site. And I went, how old are you, mate? He went, I'm 19. I said, I've got a pair of bootlaces fucking older than you. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question, Tony?
A question there, yeah? Go on. Yeah. What question do you want to ask, Chris?
Okay, so obviously I'm definitely in the younger age group. But I was a union member. I was a union member from an apprentice because, well, I'm from South Wales, so coal mining village. My dad was a scaffolder. He worked in power stations all his life.
Yeah.
So obviously, as soon as I started my apprenticeship, first thing he did was join me part of Unite the Union.
What's your surname, Christian?
Thomas.
Myrig's not your dad, is he?
No, but I know Myrig very well.
You know
yeah.
Myrig, yeah.
Well,
Myrig's a pal of mine.
Yeah, Myrig and my dad were very good friends, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, I know Myrig as well. I've spoke to him a lot, and I used to go to him for help.
You look like Myrig.
Yeah. Well, I was a member of Unite from
Yeah.
19 until I went traveling maybe 3 years ago, and then since I've come back, I haven't had a full-time job, and I haven't been on a NAECI site, so I haven't joined the union again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my question is, how do you get the younger generation to be involved in the union? Well, whereas my involvement in the union was through my dad, how do you get younger members to join?
Right. So what I say to them, mate, right? We have a list of 10 things to join the union on the Unite, right? I'll just look at these are benefits of the union, right? See, a lot of young'uns think if they join the union, they're going to get classed as a trouble causer and the employer. I said, look, your employer doesn't need to know who's in the union or who's not, right? I said, so we'll scrub that one off, right? I said, but you're always best to be in the union, right, rather than not. I said, because, right, you will come across difficulties in a workplace and you've always got to speak your mind. Don't be frightened to speak your mind. Do you know what I mean? And that's one thing I used to say in all the meetings, mate, is, listen, if anyone's got out to say it in here. Don't all be going out, because once the decision's made in here, it's final. Don't be going out and say, oh, well, I thought that. I said, because that's wrong. And don't anyone go back and tell the manager what's going on, right? Because I'll go and tell the manager. But the young'uns, like, there's a lot of them now that realise, and because they're like yourself, right, where the parents have been in the union, right? But a lot of them, a lot of the young'uns are from the offshore industry, where I've helped a lot of them now, and a lot of them have took sense now, right? And they've just won a few deals in offshore now. Because I used to say to them, see that big car you've got? And they went, yeah. I said, well, see if you get sacked, you won't be able to pay for that, will you? You know what I mean? Who are you going to get to represent you?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it's all about educating them to say, I'll just look at it. We don't wake up one morning and say, like, we need to go out and strike. It's because something's happened over a matter of time. And you've always got to lose a bit to gain a bit. And we'll always get there. Do you know what I mean? And like you say, a lot of the young ones are starting to see sense now. Because I say, look, sometimes you might have a job, right? And I give them explanations. I say, look, I see Billy there. Billy got sacked. What's the lads done about it? They haven't stuck together, nothing, right? I said, but you might get sacked tomorrow. And they're like, oh, I said, so you need protection. I always say the union is like a protection for them, mate, right? Where see underneath you, right, obviously, you don't have to have a 2-year in for unfair dismissal and all that, right? Where normally, if you spoke your mind on any other job, the fucking gaffer would get rid of you and that for any reason, like me and Dougie's fucking saying. But underneath you, like, they've got procedures to go through. They've got like stages, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. But like obviously, stage 3 hardly gets used, and it goes straight to the negotiating thing in the stage 4. But I always say you've got to have protection. The union's just like a protection for you as well, do you know? And because they say, well, what if the company doesn't recognise the union? I said, it doesn't matter. I said, in a workplace, right, you can be the only union member in there, and if the disciplining you, I said, you can get the union officer in to represent you. Just because the employer doesn't recognise the union, you've still got to be represented because you're a member of the union.
Come in on that a wee second, mate.
Yeah.
Right. As you know, last year I worked in the offshore wind industry for a brief period before I went to Aberdeen on a new build project. Now, up here in the old AMEC yard, we've got foreign investment by a company called Smulders, who ruled basically with an iron bar in their hand. Everybody for fucking security, everybody on the gate. They were sacking guys. I don't think that happens as much now, but they were sacking guys at the top of the hat. Now, they have offered me employment, but me being me, Tony, the one thing about it, they're saying they won't recognise the unions. So I read up on this and people contacted me for advice and asked me to put posts up and that. So apart from a couple of boys who basically fucking bent the truth and only gave their side of really what happened, I took down the post. I said to the boys, now, the money again, Tony, they're putting money up, but they're not negotiating rates. They're just fucking saying, right, we'll give you an extra couple of pound here, we'll give you this, we'll up the overtime rates, this and that. Now, me, being me, if I went in there, Tony, first thing I would do, I would say, right, who's on the union? And I would ask at a meeting or whatever meeting, I wouldn't give a fuck if it was a safety meeting, if it was a town hall meeting, or fuck all. Now, I read up on this a while ago. Now, it basically says even though your union, your employer might not recognise a union, if you're the only union member in there, if that workforce want a union in there, there's nothing to stop a union getting in. I mean, it can go through the various stages. It could go to arbitration and that, where the company would maybe be forced to run a ballot. And if it will, amend, say 51% of that
yeah,
we want recognition, then the union, the companies can't fucking
that's right, mate. I think it goes to like a thing called CAC and that. Yeah,
so that's CAC, Tony. Aye. Yeah. But so is that still valid? Aye.
Yeah, that's still valid, mate. Yeah. Now it's against human rights as well, mate, for them to say that you can't join the trade union, or for if someone's joined the union, mate, and then they find out to join and they finish them, the fuck, mate, the fuck doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's basically like fucking paying some cunt off for being fucking fat or been thin or been fucking colour of their skin. And I mean, it's victimisation. It doesn't really matter what way you fucking look at it.
Yeah. So has Christian got a trade himself? Is he?
He's a welder.
Yeah, we're a pipe welder by trade. Yeah. So I did my apprenticeship through the ECITB scheme. Maybe 12. Well, actually, my rig, I think, put me onto the actual scheme itself. And I did that in college, and then obviously I gained an apprenticeship from there, and I served my time as a pipe welder. But then, moved into welding, and I was on Port Talbot for a while, which was a NAECI site. But most of the lads there were never part of the union, but say I always stayed part of the union. And we had times when I remember one time they tried to take the bonus off us. And as you said, like there was maybe 20 of us there on the maintenance team, and probably 10 wanted to give up the bonus. But at the time we were like, well, how is that even possible? They were saying, oh, well, people are going to get laid off. And they tried to, but in the end they kept the bonus there. But there was a lot of issues around that.
Yeah, well, they've just got like an IBA bonus sorted out at Valero now, where I couldn't believe, like they used to get 15 pence an hour bonus. Fucking hell, you wouldn't pick that out of a puddle of water. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, how the fuck they've got that? Now I think they get 74 pence now, but the lads were happy with that because it's a stepping stone to get up to the 237 now, what they should be getting. Do you know what I mean? But they stayed out for 6 fucking weeks as well, only last year. Do you know what I mean? And they've got a good set of lads there. But same at Farley now. It's happening on all the NAECI sites. Like they've all came out for this IBA bonus and that, like, and I know not Sellafield, Stanlow, they're fucking petrified there because they've got another shutdown coming up, right? So what the lads done last time was 2 weeks into the shutdown, they're down tools and said, right, we want this and want that.
Yeah. Then you've got the bollocks, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think was it issues with the bonus being paid there last year?
Yeah, because what happens on NAECI sites, Christian, right? So say Cat 1 sites, your bonus is it's made up of 3 parts. You get £2.37. There's 80, 80, and 77, right?
Yeah.
One's for health and safety, one's for attendance and all that. But that's how they put it to you. But if something goes wrong, if there's a health and safety issue, you lose the full £2.37. If you take industrial action, you lose the £2.37, right? Now, so, but lads were getting in the end because how they put it out, they said, well, I want 80 pence because I've attended the site. I mean, they went, no, if any of these parts are broke, you lose a lot. But on a lot of the NAECI like maintenance sites, right, where they get grade 4, they weren't giving them the £2.37, right? They were giving them like something like 60p or 70p, and then when there was a shutdown, then they go up to the £2.37. Where we've said fuck all that. Now you want the £2.37 for the full year round. So we done ballots and sites decided to have industrial action over it, right? But legally, now Hartlepool Power Station and all the EDF power stations, right? They used to get about 60p. So now they're going to get £1.50 an hour right the way around, and then when there's a shutdown going to come on, 4 weeks before the shutdown, they go up to the £2.37. Then they get the £2.37 while the shutdown's on, and then the £2.37 for 4 weeks after the shutdown. So EDF, and that wasn't EDF's problem really, right? Because EDF was telling the contractors, and they've registered all the work now. The contractors have had to register the work, right? So, which is a good thing because they guarantee that all the time now. So it was a battle. It was a battle for them as well. But like all them power stations now have got that in place. You know what I mean? So it's. But whoever negotiated that fucking 15 pence one, fucking hell, mate. See, I sit on the executive council for Unite the Union, Chris, right?
Yeah.
For construction. Now, I always tell the lads, I'll help lads up and down the country, right? I says, listen, if you have any problems, email your officer. If you don't if you don't get no response, then copy me in the email. Let me know if you had any response. If not, I go to the office and say, look, you were there to service the member, right? And that's what you've got to do. And he needs help, and you do that. And I've done that up and down the country, mate. And because what I hate is people say, "Oh, they're fucking union shite now." So I'll go and say, well, "What's happened, mate? What's your problem? Oh, this and that. Have you contacted anybody?" Well, no. I said, "Well, you can't be calling the unions if you're not contacting them. Do it the right way. Go through the procedures like this. I'll help you along." Do you know what I mean? Because them officers are accountable to the members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tony,
But
see why we are on.
Yeah.
Under 2 weeks ago, I've been trying to get on Hinkley Point, like a lot of people, for over a year.
Yeah.
12 days ago, I'm not alone here. Right, I'm 56 now, Tony. I'm a wee bit older than you. Been in the industry 40 years on 15th of August next month, my 40th anniversary. 12 days ago, I was told I'm not qualified enough to get a job on Hinkley Point. Right? Now, I was asked, when I made my application, I sent apprenticeship papers, which is your apprenticeship papers. That's what you got after a 4-year apprenticeship. I was then asked if I had an NVQ, and I said, "What the fuck's an NVQ?"
Yeah.
And she said, "What about an ACE card? Do you get an ACE card?" I said, "An ACE card isn't a qualification."
No.
I said, "No, everybody's been given access to ACE." She said, "Oh, I can see you've got a lot of experience." She said, "But I can't go forward because I'd lost my old Citizen Guild, which have been lost for fucking years, Tony. My Moz did 11 year. So, I mean,
do you have a card for like a plater, Doug? Do you know like we have the scissors card for the scaffolders, yeah?
Aye.
You'll have credentials, won't you? You'll have credentials for your
I've got my apprenticeship papers, but it just seems to be apprenticeship papers aren't enough anymore. Now, you can achieve nothing against any young team or anybody that's educating themselves want to get in the industry. I'm not having a dig. But serving 4 years to get this fucking bit of cardboard, a bit of paper, to then being through I started off in the fucking oil fabrication business, like a lot of us. Moved into shipbuilding, back into oil fabrication. I've done ship repair. I've done power stations. I've done fucking gas plants.
Yeah,
I've
you've
done
been all over, haven't you?
12-year offshore. I've worked in more countries and I can fucking come
Who
off.
was it? Who was it? Who you applied to on Inkley, Doug?
It was an employment business who were acting for a company from Darlow, Stirlington, called Darkham Engineering.
Yeah. I know them, mate.
Yeah.
Is it MacTech?
Right. Yeah. So she told me that she couldn't forward, and I said, hold on a minute here. I said, I've hardly had a reply off you in fucking 8-10 months. I said, you advertise as that position. I said, we understand. She said, basically, I'm not the only one. No, I spoke to a pal about this in Wales a couple of months ago where I done my CS card, right? Paid for it twice, and he went in. I'll be honest, it was a fucking insult to my intelligence. Walked in, done the test. I was in the note in about 12 minutes. I think I get 49 out of 50. I've still got the paper in my wallet, test result. Now, same instant again, right, send us your paper. I've still not been able. Now, I went and done this, Tony, just to fucking get on a certain job because it required it. I think it was an H2S job down in Birmingham, long-term position. I've still not been able to access a CITV CS card, and that was 5 months ago. We dinosaurs now, Tony, were being frozen out of the fucking industry. I mean, ACE card is set, as I said earlier, isn't a fucking qualification. No all companies got funding for that.
No, well, see, ACE cards, I thought they were just for riggers.
No, they're for everybody. It's basically to prove a competency. Yeah. But 40 years in the industry, been in many sectors, can fucking do a job as good as the next man, Tony. Fucking nothing's a problem. Can adapt through different industries. But to be told I can't get on fucking Hinkley Point because I've not got a fucking NVQ or a fucking an ACE card. I can't accept that.
NVQs wouldn't have been about when you'd done your time in it.
No, but she didn't understand that, Tony.
What I'll do for you, mate, right? So my reg's down here tomorrow, I think. Oh, he's come down today, so at bar seat tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I was going to contact Brendan over it. I've got Brendan.
Brendan, the Welsh guy who's for the GMB, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's acceptable, Tony. I fucking don't.
No, it's not, mate. Right? And them two guys, Brendan and my rig are there for these sort of fucking things, mate, right? When people are getting knocked back. Lads have said to me, Doug, for years, when you coming down here? I went down there 4 or 5 years ago to have a look at it with the unions, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And the flu was from Newcastle. There was all the shop stewards went down there. We had a shop stewards forum there. Flew us from Newcastle to Bristol. They picked us from Bristol. They took us to the fucking camp at Bridgewater, which took us about an hour to get from the airport to there. Mm-hmm. And then it was 45 minutes from there to the fucking site. And I'm thinking, fucking, there's no way I'm going down there just for the travelling. So they said to me, oh, well, we need you down here. I went, yeah. Has it been on there fucking 6 and 7 years? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Why didn't you get me on from fucking day one?
Yeah.
But I'll have a crack with my rig tomorrow as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got details for Brendan or not?
Yeah, I've got his contact number.
You got his email and that, yeah?
Yeah.
But I actually saw a few posts about that on LinkedIn about other people saying that they'd been turned down with MacTech because they didn't have an MVQ. So I don't think it's just you, Dougie. I think that's more than one person.
No, Lassie told me.
No, that's what he's saying. He said there was a few.
Chris, she did say, I'm not the only one, but I told her, I said, do you honestly think I'm going to accept this fucking line down?
Yeah,
I said, you've not heard the last
See, when Dougie served his time, Chris, MVQs weren't about then, the fuck all, you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
And it's like now, what happened a few years ago, Doug, right? So see AMEC, right? When AMEC was still in floor,
Yeah.
they were sending all riggers for like trade tests and that, right? But on computers and that, mate, right?
Yeah,
So
I've done it myself, Tony.
all these young kids that were coming through, right? Fucking flying to, right? All the old ones, the experienced guys, weren't getting a start, right? The superintendent on the side was saying to the lass, who you fucking sending out to me here? They haven't got a fucking Scooby-Doo about the job. Well, they passed the test. He said, where's all the old ones? She said, well, they haven't passed it. She went, no, because they weren't brought up with fucking computers now. But put them on this job and I can tell them what to do, ask them what to do, and they'll fucking do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
One young'un, he said, I said to him, right, that valve needs to come out, mate, and you need to transfer it over there. He said, 2 minutes, mate, I'll get the forklift. He said, how are you going to get the forklift over the fucking bun wall? Yeah. Fucking clueless. But I will get in touch with Brendan and that, mate, and I'll have a crack with my right. I'll just say, look, by the way, MacTech, right? Fucking experienced guys, they're knocking them back for fuck all, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But listen, I've got to shoot off now, lads, right?
No, it was good of you coming on,
speaking
Tony. I appreciate it. I'm sure.
It's been great talking to you. And you, Christian. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tony. And when you see my rig tomorrow, tell him you were speaking to me, because I haven't spoken to him for a while.
Yeah. So who was your dad then, Chris?
Brian Thomas, so Sally. He'll know.
Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, he'll know. He'll know who you're talking about if you say that.
I will do. I'll give him your regards, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Tony. Nice one.
See you later, Doug. See you later, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on. Your input was brilliant.
No bother, mate. Ta-ra,
cheers for that. See you soon. See, Tony's at the front. Tony pushes himself. I mean, I've never seen a man been blacklisted have so many fucking jobs. I mean, he's went over 2 years, 2.5, 3 years without being able to get on a site, and what he's done for Unite members in the Teesside region, he's went above and beyond anything I've seen in a long, long time. But he's a genuine guy, and as he said, that this stigma used to get on, oh, he's not starting here, he's a fucking troublemaker. You just want to enforce to make sure that the companies play by the rules. If you're working under a NAECI agreement, you run it in full terms, because under the NAECI agreement, you can't ask for a penny more than what you're entitled to, So it was good to come on, know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was really good to hear from somebody else, and to hear what he had to say. But yeah, thanks for coming on again. It's been good to speak to you. What time do you have work? You said you have a night shift.
Any more questions? Oh, fucking night shift. I'll go. I'm self-employed. I'll go when I fucking decide to go. Any more questions?
Yeah, I haven't had anything else. I don't know if Callum, is there anything you'd like to say?
How's it going, guys? You all right?
Yeah, hi, mate. How are you?
Callum, how's it going?
Away on my laptop here. I'm just listening along. I've enjoyed your conversation.
Oh, thanks, mate. I don't often get the time to talk shite these days when you're working on fucking small jobs and they cunts listening to you. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I've really enjoyed it. It's nice listening to the other side of the industry. I'm in sales, so
yeah, it's fine, mate. It's fine. I mean, NAECI covers a lot of things. I mean, there's a supply chain to NAECI. It never ever seems to get mentioned. There's a lot of work gets subcontracted out to smaller companies, one-man bands, fab shops, pipe shops and that, and they bring us bills in, and a lot of the time these boys are working on a lot worse conditions or a lot less pay, and these are sort of forgotten guys. I think NAECI is a way, if we get it back to where it was supposed to be, I think we'll have a lot happier workforce. going forward. I think we definitely need to train up more young people, but understand. I mean, there's a lot of young people leaving the industry, just saying this. They might have done 10, 15 years in that. They're getting to 30 and they're saying, fuck this. You know what I mean? And they're leaving, you know what I mean? Which is pretty sad. But at the end of the day, they came into it with dreams and aspirations, and a lot of it's never been realised, you know. They've been stuck in dead-end jobs, and they've been in and out of work all the time, and it's not as glamorous as people make it out in LinkedIn to be, especially the welding and the plating side of fucking things. I mean, platings can be it can be a good job, it can be a rewarding job, but it can also be fucking horrible, you know what I mean? Some of the conditions and the places you've got to try and get into, you know. So same with welding as well, but there seems to be people are painting how wonderful the industry of welding is. Never mind the fact that you're inhaling all sorts of fucking toxic and wonderful fumes, and even by the modern day fucking screens and air-fed masks and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would say that has improved a lot, Dougie, to be fair,
yeah. But
that has improved a lot, definitely.
People used to say to me, Chris, that Rome wasn't built in a day, and the union guy once said to me, "Well, just keep chipping away." I don't want to chip away. I want to blow it right to fucking smithereens and rebuild it again. And I think you'll find that a lot of people are like that way on NAECI. I mean, a lot of people's gave up on NAECI, you know. They're happy working through agencies because they're making more money. They're CIS or they're limited company, and everything goes on the expenses. There's pros and cons, but at the end of the day, these future plants, future ships, future rigs, future wind farms need to be built. And if we want the work to come here, we need to improve the money, because the industry, it just seems to me there's always people making money, but the guys that are doing the work are just not making enough. And I think that's becoming very relevant in the society we're living in the present, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Callum, is there anything that you'd like to say about that, or anything you can speak from experience that you've noticed, or?
I have noticed in some of the companies that I go into, I've noticed some old boys come back in from retirement.
Yeah.
They've come back in and they've called what they want money-wise, and they've got it. I do see a lot of young people come in and they'll be there for a month or two, then they're gone.
Yeah. It isn't for everybody. See, years ago, there was a conveyor belt of talent. I remember, I'm old enough to remember, because it was round about my time when I was 60, the oil industry was booming. And they started building rigs as far south into England, northeast England, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, west coast of Scotland and that. And they had this conveyor belt of talent. But since then, when the shit hit the fan, a lot of people moved away. Some people immigrated. Some people re-educated themselves. That Callum went to new industries. And then we had the barren years where next to nobody served their time. That there's a big age gap on sites where you maybe have guys my age, in their 50s now, middle 50s. And then the next age group drops away down to their 30s. So we the best part of over probably nearly a generation where hardly anybody served his time. And if you don't maintain the skill factor, then these skills are going to get lost. You know what I mean? So I think we touched on it earlier with the reskill companies advancing their employees' skill base. I think that's a very relevant point. I mean, because the skills change depending on what you're building or what you're making or what sort of job you're on, if you're on a repair. So you're sort of learning new things every day if you maybe not familiar with a system or how something goes or a process of doing things and how it's done safe and that. So I'm all for educating people. It's the same as health and safety. I mean, we're lucky here. We probably get one of the best health and safety regimes. Not always, a lot more spoken about than a lot of companies don't actually practice what they preach, but they do spend money on it, you know what I mean? And we've got a well educated workforce on health and safety these days who know the rules inside out, who have had it battered into them for 10, 20, 30 years and that. And I mean, these are all good signs. It helps reduce accidents and fatalities in that. So educate your workforce is fantastic, but again, educating your workforce costs a lot of money.
Yeah, of course, and obviously everything comes down to cost eventually. But yeah, definitely, nobody should ever go to work and be harmed, especially as you mentioned fumes. I know that's improved a lot compared to what it was like when I first started welding. Companies have to provide air feds now, have to provide LEVs. So, that is definitely a step in the right direction. It's just making sure that's enforced. But, the last couple of places
you know
I've
what?
been.
Do you know, in this day and age, there's still companies out there only applying the law, and there's companies still not providing suitable PPE for the workers.
Yeah,
That's just,
100%.
that's not acceptable at all, is it?
No, not this fucking day and age anyway.
Go into PPE isn't being provided.
It's a sad indictment. People are still think it's like the bygone days where we say, right, we'll take it limited company guys on, Callum. Yeah. I will take CI get S guys on, or take your boots, overalls and hard hat, your gloves and your glasses. Now, hold on a minute, mate. The law changed on that. You've got to provide that now. They're just not up to date, or they're just fucking pleading stupid. But it's still happening.
Mm.
It's fucking wrong.
But yeah, Doug, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to speak to you again. I'll once I sort everything out. Go on. Yep.
So it was good that Tony coming on. Tony's like, you should probably do a podcast with him, hear some of his stories. I'm sure he would do it. It was good that Tony coming on and giving us an insight. As I say, me and you, I'm not working on a 90 job at the minute. You're not on a 90 job. I'm sure we will be in the future. Well, probably sooner rather than later for me, I think. And it's fucking, I just hope the guys get what they want. And not just what they want, but what they deserve. That they put up they put up with a load of shite. They hardly see their kids growing up. They don't see a lot of their partners, and that puts strain on their life. And we're seeing a big thing now. I mean, construction workers are suffering from some of the worst mental health, anxiety, stress disorders and all that. So I think we've got to take all this stuff into account and start rewarding. I think there's a lot of aspects of night, especially that long weekend every month. I just don't think that's acceptable anymore. No, I mean, I think we should begin doing the road at Hinkley Point, a 10-day fortnight, a 9.5-day fortnight. I think that's the way forward. Well, guys are going to come up, they're going to do hours, and these guys are making, and best of luck to them, that they're being rewarded a lot better than what the 90 guys are, and they're getting more time off and more time at home. So let's let's not use that as a fucking bargaining tool to bring 90 down, because technically it's 90, but it's not 90 because they're on an enhanced payment. But surely that's the way forward. And it would be good, because I don't think Hinkley Point will be a last nuclear power station. And I think everybody's wise enough to know that these take a long time to build. They're very seldom built on time or within budget. So they can become a bit of they could become a bit of a cash cow for a lot of boys, you know what I mean? Especially younger ones that really want to stamp their mark and make something of themselves within the industry. It's not always been, it's maybe held them back at times, you know what I mean, Christian?
Yeah, well, look, especially for people now, say around 20s or my age, it could be work for the next 20, 30 years, especially if Sizewell kicks off, and then, you know, that's not to say they won't
Yeah,
open
it's
another one.
definitely
So
happening anyway, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm all
so
for it, mate.
definitely,
The
yeah.
more jobs going, the better. It makes everybody's bargaining chip worth a wee bit more.
Yeah, exactly,
But
because it opens up jobs all
as
around the
we
country.
touched on earlier, work will dry up at some point, and then we'll be back to square one again. But I think we've got to grab a bull by the horns when things turn in our favour. I mean, we all know what happened on lockdown the last time when the fucking rates fell through flares, and companies were offering little better than minimum wage for a tradesman. We don't want to go back to these days. That's why 90 is important. And we need to preserve 90 and keep it going, keep it advancing. It's not just getting rises, but you need above inflation rises. Let's start getting back, clawing something back a bit at a time. I think 25% is viable, but I would be willing to accept 25% over the 2-year deal. 14% they say they want this year. Well, if that's what they're mandated for, that's what they're mandated for, but I would certainly be looking for 11 next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you very much, Doug. I'll let you know when it's going to go live, but I'll probably upload it within the next couple of weeks.
That's no hassle
Once I
at
get
all,
a
but
chance. But yeah,
anyway,
thank you
it's
very
good
much.
catching up with you. I know you're a jet setter now all over the country to these major sporting events like Silverstone yesterday.
Yeah, the Formula One was very good yesterday. To be fair, I enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you use your earplugs in.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much, Doug, and Callum. Thanks for coming on as well. You know, thanks for
Cheers,
taking the
Callum.
time to listen.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Yeah.
No
All right.
problem,
Cheers,
mate.
guys. Nice one.
See
Take
you
care,
later,
Bob.
mate. Cheerio.
Yeah.